Starfield is not a real RPG, it's more of a looter shooter with fast travel. No ambition at all, except maybe in the artwork department. Starfield more like Tilefield. Out of all the games releasing this year, who would have thought Starfield would be the one to stir up this much controversy? I wanted to make a video discussing the main topic of expansiveness and see just how well Starfield meets that expectation. I also want to discuss if the backlash the game is receiving because of that label is justified or just completely overblown. But let's first dive into the latter statement. When it comes to a game receiving backlash, I can think of at least 3 main reasons to justify it. Number 1, the performance is abysmal, or it just makes the game unplayable. Number 2, the servers of the game are preventing the players from actually playing the game. And number 3, that features promised before launch are not present in the full game. You could go further and say there was a bad story, gameplay, or whatever else, but that's all a matter of interpretation. When we look at the facts themselves, those are pretty much the 3 basic ideas why a game would deserve a high level of backlash. This is where many people believe Starfield is walking a fine line on deserving that backlash and being completely undeserving altogether. But from a personal standpoint, I think the hate around Starfield is not justified to the level where it is, but I do understand where some people are having complaints. These complaints really take us back to that third point of features being promised before launch that aren't present in the game. And for a lot of people out there, I think it circles all back to one quote from Pete Hines and another from Todd Howard. Answering a fan on Twitter who asked if the game's planets are fully explorable, Pete replied saying, quote, "Yup, if you want, walk on, brave explorer." Furthermore, Todd Howard said in the Starfield Direct that, quote, "They love exploration and rewarding it, but you do explore this game differently given its scale." They didn't necessarily lie with those statements, but they didn't actually explain the full truth, which probably could have prevented all the controversy in the first place. No, you're not able to walk for 50 hours around the circumference of the planet, but you can walk in a set tile piece of the planet, reach the end of it, and then hop into your ship and explore the next tile, rinse and repeat until you're satisfied. You are completely free to do this for all 1,000 planets, but I get some people who want to be able to do that seamlessly. You also aren't able to manually maneuver your ships around the planet, which I agree is a bummer, but it's still something to look at when talking about Starfield's expansiveness. But these reasons are exactly what drew me to my conclusion in the last video, which if you haven't watched yet, definitely check it out in the description. This isn't a lie. They never outright specified exactly that you can walk forever on a planet. But even if you could, my question to you guys all is, why would you want to? There's no mounts in the game, there's no vehicles, and unlike No Man's Sky, you can't just hop into your ship and go to the next place on the planet. You have to walk. Which I have to say, after playing Starfield now for over 15 hours, no thank you. The battle you have with your oxygen while running and then slowing down to a walk while waiting for it to recharge is really not something I'd like to do for more than 30 minutes, let alone an hour, 2 hours or more. Also, after exploring as many planets as I have, not once have I run into the edge of a tile. This video is specifically on the expansiveness of the game, and personally, even without the ability to walk on every planet for the rest of my life, I still feel like the game is more expansive than past Bethesda titles. If it was even more expansive than what it is now, I would be afraid of them risking an empty experience with nothing but lifeless planets for the entire game. In fact, there was a great point in the comments of the last video where I agree that I almost wish they cut down the planets in half and focused even more on detail within those 500 or so planets. But even that many could be too many if we're being honest. Either way, Starfield is without a doubt the biggest Bethesda game released to date, and whether or not that fits your definition of expansive is ultimately up to you as the player, which is why I'm super curious now that the game is out. What do you guys think? Do you think that the game is just right in its scale? Do you wish that it was bigger? Or maybe you're like me and wish it was half as expansive but with more detail? Let me know. While you're at it, it would be awesome if you could leave a like and subscribe. Also, I appreciate all of you new that have hopped on board in this last week. There are definitely plenty more videos on the way. But that's all I have for this video. Until the next one, I will catch you guys all later.